Anyway, so there's still not proof of God, just bad arguments, I guess. I don't know what part one was, but here's part two, evidence for God's existence from a Catholic pastor. There's no evidence in his video, just bad argument. There's not even a little bit of evidence, just a bad argument. An argument to and from analogy, one we've heard plenty of times before, one that's been addressed and rebutted several times by several people in several different ways, and I guess I'm going to do it again. Even though I've done it before, I guess the apologists just don't care, or they're not listening, or they hear but they don't really have a response, so they continued their canned responses. They're a broken record. They keep skipping and saying the same thing. They keep skipping and saying the same thing. They keep skipping and saying the same thing. Look at the trees. I see trees. Oh, look at the sky. Look at the stars. Look at the universe. Look at this. Look at that. Well, if you found a watch on the beach, you'd know that it was designed. The watchmaker argument? Yeah, that's the best that they've got. They don't have actual evidence of God. They have nothing but bad arguments and analogies that have been responded to. So, okay. I'll play the video. I'll get to the video. Just let me, Okay. So I'm going to use fucking Frog here, because why not? This was actually 3D printed. So this was designed, as the D20 also is designed, for very specific purposes and reasons and whatnot, and they serve their function and they serve it well, and they're very. I find him very cute, and I enjoy that he's sticking his tongue out holding my D20. But that isn't equivalent to a tree, not even a little. But the problem with asserting a magical being that can do anything is that everything is plausible under that condition. I remember William Lane Craig saying, like, well, why don't horses just appear from nowhere if you can get something from nothing? Or maybe it was some other apologist. I don't know. But that's what I remember. It was William Lane Craig. Doesn't matter. Yeah, well, if there's a God, then there's nothing to prevent a horse just appearing out of nowhere for no reason, because God wanted it to. Because God could do that. God just could magically poof things in and out of existence at whim. So the problem, of course, is there's nothing to compare and contrast to. If everything is designed, then there is no, hey, look, that watch is designed, and I can tell it's designed by contrasting it to this other thing that isn't designed, because both things are designed. And then, of course, another problem is, this is designed, whereas you don't know this other thing is designed. You're supposed to infer that. Look at the creation. It must be created. Well, you're assuming and asserting that it's created, so you already have your answer. When you assume your conclusion, you end with your conclusion. Circular argumentation 101, baby. The lack of logic and reason is astounding. Now here's a painting in the background here. Abstract art. Now maybe you like or dislike abstract art. I don't know, but that could easily been painted completely randomly. We could hold some different colored paints by some strings and let them drip and just let them swing around, and that's art. And the randomness of that could be potentially hard to tell from any abstract piece of art that you didn't do that with. There's the spinning toy thing, the paper spins, and you drop dots on it, and it makes these patterns, and it's very pretty. Well, that's complete randomness, but there's a filtering mechanism of sorts, in that the centrifugal force, what we call centrifugal force, and so there's going to be certain patterns that emerge. But that's still natural phenomenon. And so how is that designed? If natural forces are creating the thing, then it's not designed. There are rocks that appear to be faces to us that have been formed not by human efforts, which you would call design, but because the wind and erosion and water have made it be that it looked like a face, but it wasn't made to look like a face. And of course, arrowheads. This is something amazing that's difficult, and if you see a rock that's in the shape of an arrow, it could be an arrowhead made by a human, or it could be made by natural phenomenon. And only if you have the certain expertise could you really tell the difference. You'd have to examine it. You'd have to test it. And there's hallmarks, things that you would expect to find if it was made by a person. And so when you're going to contrast and compare the real world that we observe and say, well, that's proof that it looks designed is proof that it is designed, that doesn't get you anywhere. Because the thing is, we have examples of people designing stuff, and we don't have examples of nature designing things. Design, what does that mean? And we're going to look at the trees. Okay, what am I looking at? Exactly. Or if we're going to look at the stars in the sky, I see design. Okay, great. I don't. So your analogy didn't work on me. You need something that's actually evidence of the thing itself, not a thing that you think points to something. Okay? You need more than this weak, broken analogy that we've seen and heard over and over again. But that's all we've got. So here's the Catholic pretending that he's had a conversation with somebody that probably didn't ever happen. And
In this video, we're going to be talking about another evidence or proof for the existence of God.
And another evidence. Yeah. Well, one piece of actual evidence would be great, but you don't have that. So
I want to talk about order and design.
Order and design, which isn't apparent in the universe. So great. Even if you had proof of order, whatever you mean by that, and that would be nice. You don't. Design, well, okay, but how are you deciding that it's designed? What methodology are you applying to get to the conclusion that it was designed? So it doesn't seem like there's any methodology here because, well, there isn't any methodology here. And why can't we see what's below your waist? Because I am worried that a young boy is under there. Yeah, that's a dig at being Catholic, because I'm going to keep doing that until Catholics apologize in full for the whole, scandal. And also, go ahead and, what do you call it, discommunicate or excommunicate Hitler. That'd be nice, too. Anyways, what's your argument? Oh, you don't have one. Great.
If anyone asks you, how do you know God exists? Or what evidence do you have that God exists? You say order and design.
I love it. If anyone asks you what evidence that you have, just say this thing. Yeah, I'm not going to, don't demonstrate it. Just copy and paste what I'm saying. Don't think for yourself. Don't critically analyze. Don't do research. Don't look into it. Don't investigate. Don't do anything. Just Control C, Control P. Oh, it's so easy. Oh, what evidence do you have? Just say this, What evidence do you have that God doesn't exist? That there's no evidence. How about that? Like, look, I don't see God. Where is it? I don't see it. So it's not there to look at. Okay, that evidence of God would be God. That's what it would be. Okay. Here I have a plastic toy creeper from Minecraft. Oh, look, there's a plastic toy creeper from Minecraft and it lights up. Oh, I have the thing that I'm talking about. There's evidence of it right there. There you go. But you cannot do that with God. So instead you go, oh, look, order and design, and that's proof of God. How is that proof of God? You need to prove those things. And then you need to show that those things prove God. So you still need to prove God. And you didn't. But I love that his response, his advice is to just say this thing. Just say, of course I have proof. You might as well say, here's the honest answer. I don't have proof. I don't have evidence. I just have faith. That would be the honest answer. If you're going to tell people what to say, tell the truth. You don't have evidence. Because that's honesty. That is reality. You do not have evidence of God. You have things that you think point to a God, but you don't have evidence that there is a God in actuality. You do have bad arguments. That's all you do actually have.
I remember I talked to an atheist once and I was about to leave and she asked me, hey, what proof do you have of God? I mean, you always talk about God. Do you have any proof for him? And I said, sure, there's lots of proof, but I'm kind of on my way out. And she's like, just give me the 2-minute version. So I said, okay. And I said, here's God in 2 minutes. And I said, I believe in God because of the order and design. I said, look at the universe. It's ordered and it's designed.
And there you go. There's the look at the trees moment. Look at the universe. It's ordered and designed. In what way is it ordered? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by order? I don't know what you mean by that in this instance, because look at the universe. That's a pretty big ask. We've looked at 0.00001% of the universe in the sky. I've looked at a planet or two. I think one planet through a telescope, and I've seen stars in the sky with my naked eyes. Oh, now my eyes are naked. Oh, sorry. But that's it. I haven't looked at the universe. So there's a bit of a quibble, but okay. I don't see order there. I don't even know what you mean by order. Like what that. So I have to make assumptions about what you mean here. Like we have stars, like the sun, that are way bigger than the sun. There's things that are way bigger than the sun out there, and then we have planets, and the smaller planets tend to orbit the bigger thing, if it's a sun, and that's how. And so is that order? Is that what you mean by order? And then you've got black holes that pull in everything. Or at least we think that we do. We've got some evidence of that, I think. And so okay, we've and that's order, because that's what, a vacuum cleaner. So that's keeping the universe clean or something, like the meteors and asteroid impacts upon various planetary bodies. Is that part of this order that you're seeing? because one of those asteroids hit Earth a while back and killed off pretty much everything that was living at the time. Is that order, or is that just chaos in action? I'm not really sure how you would demonstrate that it's orderly in any way, shape, or form. And creation, that assumes you already assume your conclusion by saying that word. You design, you already assume that it's designed. So your proof of God is that you believe in God. That's the reality here.
What does that mean? So, for example, if you're walking down the beach and you see a huge heart drawn into the sand and it says Johnny loves Susie, and it has a heart with an arrow going through it and it says XOXOXO, I said, do you actually think that the waves came up and made that?
They could have, given the right conditions. Yeah, that could happen. It's unlikely though, but that, of course, is nothing but the watchmaker analogy, and it's not comparable. And again, I'll point out the various stones that we have, cliff sides and whatnot, that appear to look like faces, because we're really good at identifying faces. Humans are naturally adept at seeing faces, even when it's not a face. The reason why pop-up scare is so effective is because your brain processes that there's a face there before you have time to think about there being a face there. So, there's many of them, but there's that one. It actually came from an ad where you watch this car driving along nice and peaceful, and then all of a sudden, blah, there's a person there screaming at you in makeup, and you're like, and you're like, it, and you process it before you can even process it. So, you can see things that you think are patterns that aren't really patterns. You can see things that are faces that aren't really faces. There was, of course, that rock on Mars that was made a big deal of for a little bit. Oh, look, it's a face. Yeah, well, when you zoom out, it stops looking like a face because it's just one tiny part of this rock, and it had two holes in it and another hole in it. And so we go, oh, look, eyes and a mouth. But if you look at it the other way, it doesn't look like that anymore. And there was some nitwit Christians and others going around for a while that scientists found this what was it, DNA strand or whatever, chromosome, whatever the bleep it was, and I can't remember, but it was in the shape of a cross. Ooh, but if it's like this, now it's in the shape of an X, and actually it's in the shape of a J, and it's not in any shape at all. It's just that we infer that onto it. It's called post hoc rationalization, post hoc proper hoc, and so after this, because of this, so you're rationalizing the thing afterwards, and so all you're doing by saying, "Hey, look, design," you're saying, "God, God, God," and I'm like, okay, what's your proof of God? Well, look, see, God made that. Okay, so your proof that God made it is that God made it. So that's not proof at all. But it looks designed. Okay, maybe to you, doesn't look designed to me. You need to demonstrate that it's designed. And then you still need to demonstrate God, even after you've demonstrated that it was designed, because anything could have designed it. So, the protein thing, yeah. Tight goes in, tight goes out, right? So you've got nothing here, but keep going, please.
It's like, according to atheists, it could possibly just happen by accident. The waves come up, and when it goes back down, there's English words inside of a heart. I said,
no, that's not according to any atheist anywhere, and you're a moronic idiot for suggesting that. So your construct straw man doesn't work, because no. I don't know what this analogy is supposed to be about anymore. I'm guessing that you mean the so-called design of the universe, which is nothing like a heart drawn in the sand. Not even close. So your moronic, nitwitty, inane understanding of how reality really functions isn't proof of God. We understand how planets and stars form. It's due to gravity acting on elements, basically. They get pulled together, and then boom, you've got a star. And then because it went boom, you've got all this other stuff. And that stuff goes, and then you've got a planet or a moon, whatever you want to call it, dwarf planet, whatever, you want to call it. But you've got a thing because that's what things did. Where's the order of that? Where's the rhyme or reason of that? That's just how things work. You can say that that's God behind it all you want, but you still haven't demonstrated God is anything to do with any of that. Do we really need God to explain gravity? Or do we just need the fact that there's mass? When you have mass, that creates gravity. Why? There's no why. There's a how. And there's a limit on our knowledge concerning some of those questions, perhaps, but that doesn't mean God done it. So your broken analogy is still broken and still not proof of God. But you're going to keep doing it, so here we go.
But of course, we recognize with our intelligence that a higher intelligence, another human being, made that. Perhaps two human beings who were in love made that in the sand. It wasn't a random chance.
Okay, and then you have your classical random chance insanity that the apologist just loves to harp on because they love to exclude a part of reality. They have to. They have to misrepresent reality in order to forward their fantasy. They have to. They don't have a choice in this. It's not random by itself because there's a filtering mechanism. Both and that filtering mechanism is essentially death if you're talking about life, but it's also destruction if you're talking about the cosmos. So sometimes mass that slowly, and this is like a slow thing, comes together and then it doesn't explode. It doesn't make anything. It's just, and then it breaks apart and nothing really happens. Sometimes that happens. And so you don't get a star. You didn't get a planet. You didn't get anything. It just went kind of like, it was like crushed together and it kind of didn't do much of anything. You got just some dust, Nothing really exciting happened. That happens. So you go, oh, that's interesting. No, nothing happened. All right, all over here. More nothing happening. Nothing happening. Nothing happened. Oh, look, something finally happened. So there's a filtering mechanism going on. One way is like, look, if the thing can fit together, then it fits together. And if it can't fit together, then I know it's very hard to conceive of this. It doesn't fit together. Now, fair enough, you could say, well, but, like carbon, has, these bonds that it can do to other elements. And it's really, really good at doing that. Why? I don't know, because it's what it does. There is no why, But look, it was built to do that. No, I understand how it could look that way, but it's like, but carbon can only link to these things, and when it does that, then you get these things. Like, yeah, and so you could say, well, fair enough. That's like Lego bricks, right? Like isn't that kind of like Lego bricks? It only fits with sort of, it's like there's like this kind of comparison you can kind of try to make, right? And I say fair enough because it's so intuitive feeling that it's like, I understand, but you're asserting things into that. You're applying agency involved there. You're using something that we're familiar with, like Lego bricks, and saying, well, you have different things that aren't Lego bricks, but they kind of look like Lego bricks, and some of them will fit, and others won't fit. And so there's a filtering mechanism going on there. And the ones that do fit or can fit will fit, and the ones that don't. And you can make something out of that based purely on what will or won't fit. And you go, well, see, there's a maker there. But you remove, if those things are naturally attracted to each other, then you're going to have stuff that forms together and stuff that doesn't form together. And you go, well, eventually, if enough of those connect in such and such way, you get a thing that we call a planet, and then you get a thing we call life. And isn't that amazing that they all just happen to fit together in that way? It's like, well, if they fit together a different way, then we'd have something different. So it's not that amazing. It's only amazing when you ignore the fact that it could have been some other way. And in fact, when you look into the universe, you see, hey, that planet is different than ours. That planet's different than ours. That thing we call a star, because it's really different than us. Does anything live on the sun? I have no idea. Could there be life in the sun or on the sun? Or I don't have any idea. No idea. Depends what you mean by life. But does anything that even remotely comes close to being alive, could it even form? Maybe. Who knows? Because we don't know. So if you had a different set of things that could connect together and did connect together, you'd get different things. And that's what you get. You've got this planet and that planet and whatever, and some of them probably, I hope, have life on them, and others don't. And there's no rhyme or reason to that. It is chaotic. And if you want to say, well, but there's an ultimate grand orderer of things, somebody spilled the Legos onto the cosmos and then let them assemble and sat back and, okay, let's see what happens. But it didn't really take a genius to knock down a Lego bucket, especially when you have all these things in place. It's like, oh, but it set up, it made the magnets, the Legos magnetic, and you can say all sorts of stuff. Sure, you can assert anything you want. The problem is the demonstration part is what you're not doing. The analogy only goes so far, and then you have to have reality. And it's not enough to just say, but it looks designed, because it doesn't look designed to me. So it's not good enough. It's not evidence. It's not design. You're inferring design. But it's all by chance. It's not by chance. There's a filtering mechanism. That filtering mechanism is part of God's design. You can say that, but you don't say that. So I find it really interesting that you guys, broadly speaking, the apologists, will say random chance, and seems to me like you deliberately leave out the filtering mechanism. You could invite that in. You could say, isn't it amazing how we have this randomness, but we also have a filtering mechanism? That's God. Then you're adding that's God would be what I object to, but I couldn't make the objection that you're not representing reality in full until I got to the it's God part, Right now, you're saying a half-truth. It's random. All you atheists say is random. No, we keep telling you it's not random. There's a filtering mechanism that makes it non-random. So you're giving me a bad argument, and I can't go anywhere forward. I can never get beyond your bad argument. I don't need to refute anything you've said. All I need to point out is that your argument is bad because of at least one fallacy, and I don't have to believe it, and I'm done. I don't have to refute anything, period. That's how logic works. If you read, see, hear, whatever, anybody anywhere going, all you've done is do a fallacy. Who cares? You haven't refuted the argument. What you've just seen there is somebody that doesn't understand logic. The whole point of logic is if you can identify a logical fallacy, that means the argument don't work and it needs to be fixed. So the argument done. It's dead. That's it. Go fix your argument. Come back when you have a working argument. Then we'll look at that argument. And we'll go from there. But until you do that, I'm done. I don't have anything to refute. I don't need to debunk anything. All I need to do is go, fallacy. That's it. And here we've got half-truth. And we've got an appeal to and from analogy. That's a second fallacy. And we've got argument to, we've got post hoc rationalization. That's a different type of fallacy. Well, it is a fallacy, but it's a fallacy of there's a fallacy there. My brain turned off for a second. But yeah, so you've got at least 3 fallacies. I only needed 1. And you've got you assuming the conclusion, a circular argumentation. Look, it is designed because it's designed. It's created because it's created. Look at the order. That's assuming order. Look at the design. That's assuming design. So there's 2 cases where you're assuming your conclusion without proving your conclusion. So I'm up to like 6 fallacies at least. And beyond your non-argument is dead. Gone. It don't work no more. Fix your argument. But the apologist, no matter how you say this, no matter what you say, it's like whoosh, it goes one ear out the other ear. It doesn't like penetrate their brain matter or something because they're like, I need God to be a thing. And I'm like, I get that, but you're not using good logic. You're not using logic at all. So, fix that.
Because we recognize the order and the design of it. Likewise,
no, we don't. No.
If you go through South Dakota and you see a lot of formations in the mountains, and some may even look like this, some may look like that, but then you come across 4 American presidents' faces in the side of the mountain, you say that is not a random occurrence of chance. That didn't just happen over millions of years by rain and wind and erosion and lots of time. Yeah, it just happened all by accident. It came about. No, we recognize the order, the patterns, the design, and we know that a human being, a higher intelligence, made that and spent the greater part of their life carving it out of the side of the mountain.
So, is this? Let's see. Is this carved? Is this carved? Or not? Well, hold on. Here we go. Okay. Is this carved? Is this carved? Is this carved? I'm going to keep asking. Is this carved? Yes or no? Is that carved into the mountain? Did somebody carve this into the mountain to make it looks like a face to me? There's an eyeball. There's a nose. Got a mouth. Looks like a face to me. Did somebody carve that? Or is that natural? Is that just wind and erosion and water, rain, and whatnot? Here, right here. Look at this. Look at this, my friends. You can't make this shit up. Hopefully you can see that. This is a petrified fossil of a real live breathing giant. Read Genesis 6 King James Version Bible. That's what that idiot said about this. You can't make that shit up. You just can't. That's all you're doing is saying, hey, That rock? Oh, that's a petrified giant. That's what you're doing. Because you give us zero methodology of how to determine a carved rock in the face versus a non-carved rock in the face. What methodology are you using? You don't offer any. And you've got idiots like Linda there who say stupid stuff that's not real about reality. Oh, that's a door. Because they think that the giants are real. There are no giants. It's not a thing. It's a story. Goodness gracious. What happened to your brain? Well, what happened to your brain is religion. Religion said that a thing was true and you just believed it. That's what happened. So what's happening with this guy? Somebody, and there's lots of things saying that he's 50 years old now. So he's been around 5 years longer than I have. Oh my God, I'm old. And he doesn't know any better than to make the same old broken argument that we've made that we've heard and it's been made over and over again. We're sick of it. We're tired of it. We're done with it. Move on. Give us an actual working argument. But no, can't do that. Just assert that it's true, and that's it. Don't give any coherent argument, because apologetics would die if you tried to do logic. If you actually presented the proof, you would say, we don't have any proof. That's what you would say. And I have example after example after example of theists being honest. Every now and then they are. I've got Father Barron. Let's see. I think William Lane Craig did it at least once. I know Jordan Peterson, although I don't know if you can call him a theist. I guess he is technically. I've got some others who, what's his name? John Lennox, who have all said different ways of saying that, well, God, you can't prove God. You can't show that God's a thing. So every now and then the theist will be honest about it and say, well, there really isn't proof of it. It's all just faith. But apologists have to kind of like live in two different worlds where sometimes it's faith, sometimes there's evidence. Even though there's never any evidence and it's always just faith.
Likewise, when you look at the universe, and the whole universe works together perfectly to bring about life. It is ordered and it is designed. For example, if you look at gravity, I mean, everything, literally everything in the universe has to be perfect to bring about life. And there are
look at gravity, comma. I mean, like everything has to be ordered for life. I don't think you know what the fuck you're talking about there, buddy.
There are millions and millions and billions, trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of things that would have all had to come about by chance from nothing, because of nothing, or it was just all there. It just happened with no explanation. No.
So there you have again, me dropping my headphones, making clunky noises. Nothing! Nobody ever says that. The only people that say that are theists. Atheists don't say this. Non-believers don't say this. You will not find a single peer-reviewed paper that says the universe came from nothing, and by nothing mean a literal nothing. If they use the word nothing, which I don't know that any has, I doubt it. I don't know of a single peer-reviewed paper that claims the universe came from nothing, and uses the word nothing. I don't think that any do. I really don't. So give me one. I'd love to see it. But even if they did use the word nothing, and I don't think that they would, they'll go on to probably say that by nothing they actually mean quantum something or another, fluctuation, whatever. There's many cosmological models out there that one could look at. There's one that I ran across a while back, and I'd have to find it if you really want me to do that, because I would, you want citation, I'll give you. There was never a nothing. In fact, there was always everything. This is a concept that blew my mind. So the singularity, that's everything right there. Everything exists in that little tiny dot. Everything is there. It's not nothing. It's always everything. It's everything that could be and will be and is. And it's never nothing, because it always was. Because there isn't even time yet. So there is no before. There's just that moment. And that moment is forever, because there is no any time yet. And there is no other where, because the only where is there. It's everywhere. So it is all of time and all of space in this teeny tiny dot. And it's always been that way. But it won't always be that way. But it starts out always being that way. And then something happens. Now, why? Why does it do that? Why does it do this thing? And we like, the explosion is a misphrasing of it. It's expanding. Why? Well, because that's what it did. But why? I don't know. It's just, that's what it did. Maybe it had to. Maybe it didn't have it just happened. I don't know. But that's, saying I don't know is not the same as saying there's no explanation. There might be, but I don't know what the hell it is. You don't either. And there's reasons for that, because when you get that small, things are fucking weird. You've got what's called the Planck temperature. The Planck temperature is a weird concept. You might have heard of the Planck length, which is the absolute smallest length that there could be. It's kind of hypothetical or theoretical, however you want to put that. But it's like, whatever the smallest thing is, we're going to call that the Planck length. Okay, so you can't get smaller. You can't say what's smaller than that, because there is no. But the Planck temperature is different. It's the hottest that you can be. I'm like, why isn't it the coldest? Because it isn't. Just, that's what it is. You guys name things weird. Okay, whatever. So when things are really super mega hot, atoms aren't a thing. Atoms, the thing that makes everything. It's hard to trust physics because it makes everything up. Okay, it's supposed to be it's hard to trust atoms because they make up everything. Whatever, anyways. Whatever the joke is. But you don't even have atoms when it's that hot. So what the hell is that universe like? Because you need physics. You need a physical thing, which, atoms make physical things, right? You need that to do physics. So when you don't have atoms, you kind of can't do physics, I guess. And here's where my understanding of cosmology ends, because then the papers that I've seen are really complicated. I just go, those are words. I don't know. So the way things really is really freaking complicated. Science wants to figure that out, broadly speaking. The scientific method explores to expand our understanding. It hasn't made up its mind. Religion has. Religion's decided that it's this and that's it. And again, that's it. That's it. That's how it works. Catholicism, Protestants, all that, they've decided it's God. What's God? Our Bible tells you what God is. Our holy book says it. Yeah, the other books do that too, but they're all fake. We've got the real one. Of course you do, yeah. Read The Lobsterist. Nobody's debunked The Lobsterist yet. Must be true. Nobody's even tried to debunk The Lobsterist because they're all cowards. They know deep in their hearts that The Lobsterist is true. You don't have evidence of the things that you think that you are saying. You don't understand the science. You don't understand the reality, and that's crystal clear to the non-believer. The non-believer doesn't necessarily make any claim about the origin of the universe. But if I or somebody else will do that, I will expect them to provide proof and evidence for their claims. Science does that. The activity of science, the endeavor of science does that. Whereas your non-argument full of logical fallacies does exactly the opposite. It says, well, here's this, here's this, here's this. Oh, and by the way, the atheist says it all came from nothing without any reason by chance. No, they don't. No, they don't. Show me a atheist that said that somewhere. Maybe you can find one, but I don't think you will. Maybe you could hire somebody to say they're an atheist to say that. Show me somebody that's had a history of being an atheist online that says that. Let's see you do at least one actual thing like that. But you won't because you don't have it. So all you can do is do another logical fallacy called straw man. And we're up to 7 fallacies at least, maybe 8. I might have missed 1 or 2. So your argument isn't proof of anything other than you don't know diddly squat.
No, we don't believe that the universe came about by trillions and trillions and trillions of impossible chances or very, very improbable chances that lead to virtual impossibility. We believe it came about by a higher power. I mean,
yeah, I know what you believe. I want to know what proof you have of what you believe. And as far as the trillions and trillions of chance or whatever, the numbers don't mean diddly squat. You don't know, you don't understand that anyways, and you have no understanding of any of that. But the big numbers just don't fucking matter. They just don't. If you average out how many ways you could potentially die, and I thought, man, if you added all that up, wouldn't the chances that you're dead be like 100% or more? And it's a weird, wild realm of possibility that exists. Like you would think, like how many adults can die in the bathroom in America? Like what's the percentage of that? Like 1 in 100. All right. So you go, oh, okay, I beat those odds. So I must be pretty lucky, right? And then I could have also died when I ate some food because I could have choked to death. So that's another odd that I beat. So if I add those 2 things up, then the percentages of me dying go up, right? Actually, no, apparently not. It's like the opposite. It goes down. And you're like, but why it go down? It should go up. And I'm like, okay, I can't do math. Like, I don't know anymore. I don't understand any of this. I'll leave it to somebody that knows math better than I do to figure this out. But, like, the odds of you dying from, like, all these things is actually really low, which is why we're still alive. But some people die. So, but the odds again, and then I'm like, wait a minute, it's the other way around. They shouldn't die then. Like the odds against them dying are really low. So then nobody should die from that because the odds are really against them dying in that way. So out of the tens of thousands of people on Earth, somebody somewhere, it went outside. Well, it was, thunder and lightning. And they put a spoon into the air, and they're like, by the power of Grayskull, I have the... And they got hit by lightning and died. Now, those specific conditions are really, really astronomically high that could happen. But if that really did happen, and that's how they really died, then guess what the odds are? 100%. But before it happened, the odds were like in some stupid number that I some big giant number. But that doesn't matter. The result is 100% once you have the thing. So the apologist has to rely on your non-understanding of how odds work to make a big deal of the odds. There's 1,000+ gods out there, tens of thousands of gods that we know about, let alone the ones we don't know about and the ones that have died off. So what are the odds against you having the real God? 1 in 10,000, at least. Those aren't very good odds either. I could roll my D20 and be like, oh, the odds of any one number is 1 in 20. And I roll it. Well, guess what number I rolled? Go on. 16. Were you right? You don't believe me? I don't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either. Let's see. Okay. All right. Come on. Get on the camera. Come on. Come on, focus. You fucking thing. Focus. There we go. Oh, yeah. 16. Okay. Yeah, okay. I proved it. See? That's how proof work. You do a thing, and then look. So what was the odds that it would be 16? It was 100% because that's what I rolled. And then the theist will do things like, well, but if you rolled it, and out of 100 times that you rolled it, it was 16 every time, then it's like a loaded die. Yeah, if that's what you did. But the thing is, with the universe and all that, like, we rolled the dice once. You got one deal. That was it. You didn't get 100 deals. You didn't get 1,000 deals. You got one. And until you produce a mathematical model that like simulates our universe on a computer, and then take that model and go, here's the dials, I'm switching them around, and here's what it looks like when a different universe forms. Until you have that, I don't care about your numbers. Nobody has that as far as I know. So, come back when you've got that. Actually, come back when you have anything, because you don't have anything. So I guess what I'm saying is don't come back. Yeah. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds that a small young boy is underneath your desk right now?
If you look at helium, has to be perfect. Hydrogen can't be more or less. Oxygen. If you look at the electromagnetism in the universe, if you look at the universal constants, if you look at the elliptical orbit, if you look at the nuclear force, weak and strong, everything literally has to be perfect. Look at the DNA strand of human beings. They're more complex than a car. They're more complex than any supercomputer that we can even invent on the face of this earth. Richard Dawkins, who's a famous atheist, said there's a 1 in 1 billion chance that evolution came about naturally by chance. But
did he say that? You have no citations for that. And I guarantee after he said that, he said some more stuff. Whatever.
Of course, that's not actually accurate. He says it's 1 in 1 billion, which would look like this.
Uh-huh.
In reality, the chances actually look like this.
Uh-huh.
So what atheists and agnostics don't consider when they just say, oh, it just came about. Everything just happened. It was just...
It's not what we say. You didn't listen to what we said. You listened to part of what somebody said. Dawkins is an atheist, but I don't care what he's just one dude. It's not like that doesn't matter. Again, the odds don't matter. They don't mean anything, and you don't understand what they do mean. So that's a classical Monty Hall paradox. I don't know what's called a paradox. Problem, I guess. The Monty Hall problem. Where there's 3 doors, and there's a whammy There's a thing you don't want, a joke behind one of the doors. And the other two is win or lose. So there's behind one of the doors is nothing, behind one of the doors is a prize, and behind one of them is a joke. So, like an elephant. You don't want an elephant. It's a joke. Well, maybe you do want an elephant. I don't know. But at any rate, so you've got these 3 doors. You go, okay, what's the odds that you will pick the right door? 1 in 3. Okay, cool. But it gets complicated. He opens a door, removing a door, and shows that door to be blank. Cool. So but before he does that, he goes, you can pick a door. You can pick a door, he opens the door, whatever. He opens the door, and it's like, okay, are you going to stay with he opens a different door, and he shows you what's behind that door. And he's like, oh, there is nothing behind that door. Do you want to stay with your choice, or do you want to switch? And you're like, well, the odds are 50-50 that I saw that there's nothing there. You open the door, there's nothing there, right? So, I guess occasionally the person would pick the door with nothing in it, and that would be the end of it. But in the cases where he'd open the door, there'd be nothing behind there, and you're like, oh, I have a 50-50 shot. Do you want to stay or do you want to change? And you go, well, I have a 50-50 shot of winning, so I might as well stay. But that's wrong. You don't have a 50-50 chance anymore because you had 3, and then you had I don't understand the math. People have done videos on it. Go check those out. They explain it way better than I ever could hope to. So the intuition that you're trying to employ is that, basically. It seems like I should have 50-50 because I have 2 doors. I used to have 3, but who cares? I don't have 3 anymore. So I still have a 50. Now I have better than 3 and 1 odds. I now have 50-50 odds. But no, it changed because things change. And then so I should switch. That's the answer, is you should switch. Why? Because the odds say that you switching is better than not switching. Why do odds say that? I don't know. That's because it does. It's weird. I don't know why it works. It just do. It's really weird, but that's how it is. And so you're saying, well, yeah, it's really doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because it happened. So we don't go, well, we just accept reality as it presents itself. We non-believers in magical fairy tale nonsense and unproven and unprovable gods and gods, deities and demons and angels and whatever else you want to make up, we don't believe in that stuff. We just believe in things that you can actually verify and test. Okay? And your God isn't one of those things that we can verify or test. That's why we don't believe in it, broadly speaking. I should really speak for myself, but whatever. So when it comes to reality, I go, yeah, that's how things are. It's pretty cool. It's freaking amazing. Whoa, it just came together by chance? No. Filtering mechanism. Okay, well, it came together by filtering mechanism. Why does that work? I don't know. Just that's how it is. Well, how do you believe that? Because that's what reality says. That's why I believe it. Because it's really there. And it's really provable. The way that reality really, really is really, really real. So I just accept it. Your personal incredulity, where you're like, I can't believe that, doesn't prove anything. There's another logical fallacy, personal incredulity. You can't believe that it all just came together on its own because. I don't need to believe. That's what's going on, apparently. So I don't have a choice. That's just what the data says. It's not about whether I like it, accept it, want it to be, or whatever. It's just that's what the data indicates. So that's what's true. And I just accept what true is because I don't need to believe in a made-up thing. I don't need to believe in something I can't verify. And so the difference is you do. So you're like, I don't understand. The atheist just says everything came together. Oh. Well, I know you don't understand that. I know that. Pat you on the head. I'm sorry you don't understand it, but that's real. I'm sorry. That's how it is. It's complicated, okay? That's how things are. They're fucking complicated. They're not simple. Like, oh, it's just God. Bing. That's what you believe. You just believe God did it. How did God do it? I don't know. Well, there you go. You have a different I don't know than I do. But your I don't know is based on something that you can't verify in the first place, which is God. So your non-proof of God that has multiple logical fallacies hasn't convinced anybody other than people that already believe in God. And they didn't need convincing. Keep going. Almost done.
There forever. No explanation. Or it happened over millions and millions or even billions and billions of years. Richard Dawkins says it happens, inch by inch over millions of years. But in reality, the probability of that is literally impossible, because what they don't take into consideration, people like Richard Dawkins, is the complexity of the matter, the number of steps that are needed, and the time that's absolutely needed.
You're a moron. Fuck you, Catholic. Yeah, you don't understand science. We know that. Get over it. Learn science. Read a book that isn't the Bible for a change. I noticed you got some of your bookshelf. You got a lot of yellow ones. Idiot's Guide to Evolution. Or so you got Evolution for Dummies. Did you read that book? Was that the only book that you read on evolution? So yeah, what else you got up there? It doesn't look like you have a lot of actual scientific textbooks. It's the only one I can see. So I don't think that your understanding of evolution is very good. So you're a moron. Okay. I mean, I'm kind of dumb about evolution too, but I'll at least admit it, unlike you. Should I mention the young boy under his desk again?
It's virtually impossible to get it with the time that we've had since the point of the Big Bang.
Since the point of the Big Bang, it's impossible to get it. Let's see. The Big Bang to Earth. You know how long that was at all there, buddy? Because, you can't... Life on Earth is the only life we know about, so this is the only life we can talk about. And then once you have Earth, you have another amount of time that you probably don't know anything about. So I don't think you really know anything about anything that you're talking about. But that you don't understand it or that you don't believe it doesn't prove that you're right. It just means you're a moron.
People used to think that the universe was eternal. It just went back indefinitely forever and ever and ever until the Big Bang came, and we realized that everything started at a singularity, at a moment when time, matter, space, energy all came into existence at that one point. Perhaps it goes back farther than that, but it can't go back indefinitely for infinity with an infinite amount of days or time, because then there would always be an infinite amount of time before today.
All right, now he's just talking more nonsense about things he doesn't comprehend or possibly even begin to comprehend. Different cosmological models have different models of time and space and universes, multiple universe size, that you just don't have any knowledge about. And I'm not interested in hearing what you don't understand. So please continue to not understand reality, though. It's just making my point for me, I guess. So none of this is evidence of God, by the way. All this is, I don't understand X, therefore God. So it's appeal to God of the gap. So it's like, 11 fallacies now? Every time he does it, he's repeating the same fallacy, so we have to add +1 every time he does it.
And we would never reach today, but we're here today, so there can't be an infinite amount of time. Make sense?
Okay, cool. So God can't be eternal then, because if God always existed, then there'd always be a God. So that means there'd always be an infinite amount of God. And so God could never get to where God is today. So God can't be eternal then. Oops. So, well, we're not going to think about that, though.
Other things that people don't consider are just proteins and amino acids and everything
Okay, more. I don't understand how reality works.
that needs to make up DNA. Here's what the probability of getting a protein is by chance. It's far
Citation.
more than Richard Dawkins' 1,000,000,000 for all of life. Okay, here's what it is.
And where'd this number come from there? Do we have any citation? No. None. Apologetic counseling? The fuck? Would you like one-on-one apologetic training? Or would you like the chance to ask questions? Contact this. Oh man, I want to. Yeah, where did you get that number from? You know, where did this number come from? Where did that number come from? Put it in the comments. Citation required. Anyways, whatever. I'm not done. I'm at 5 minutes. He's got 11 minutes worth of video, and I've been doing this an hour. How does this happen every time? Why is it so hard to tell people they're wrong on the internet? Why? All right. Anyways, I'm done. I can't take any more. I'm sorry. I mean, we're at 11 plus fallacies. We don't need more. He doesn't understand this. He doesn't understand that. I don't get this. Here's what the number really is based on who. I don't know. Where did he get that number? No idea. I don't think that he knows. I'm going to email him or whoever it is. Let's see. I bet they're going to ask me for money if I email them, though, but I'm going to do it. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Question. Let's see. About at time index. I don't know why I'm doing this live. I really should stop the broadcast and then email him because it's not any fun to watch me email somebody when you can't even see me emailing him. I apologize for doing that. I don't know. I forgot I was broadcasting for a minute. I don't know. Anyway, so underneath his desk, as we know, there's a young boy trapped trying to get out. And of course, since the young boy is chained to the desk, I guess we could call it a captive desk of some sort. And so until he gets out from under that captive desk, he'll never have the true apologetics that he needs to convince anybody. Prove that you don't have a young boy underneath your desk. And until you do, I will continue to believe that you don't. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget, if you're Thomas Rutledge, you owe me 613 toothpicks, or whatever the number was. I think it was 613. Probably wasn't. 613, that's how many Bible commands there are. I don't know. Or if you're Dave Stewart, your icon is a bunch of tab sodas, but every time I see it, I don't remember what it is until I look at it closely. Or if your God equals the square root of -1, your username is really long, and I like to complain about that. Or if your answer is an atheism, you're bald, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Just, I got nothing to insult him with. So, it's like a friendly jab. So, I don't know. He's a great guy. I love him. And if you're captive desk, then you hold a young boy underneath with a cap. Like, I don't know. Zen Master. I don't know what you are if you're Zen Master. So, okay, if you're any of those things, then that's what you are. And if you're not, then you're not. And until then, you should be skeptical of all the things. And then after that, you should stay skeptical of all the things. Tune in next time when I talk about how Trump is a thing. Yeah, why not? I'll just talk about politics. Everybody's talking about politics. It's driving me insane. If I hear the word Trump one more time, I'm gonna lose it. Anyways, sorry. I'm okay now. No, I'm not. Bye. I'm not going to talk about politics next time. Well, maybe I will. What are the odds that I will talk about politics next time? Find out. Ah! 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 Ah!